All right, it's time to check out the tooling that came with it. They're all probably carbide, or I'm assuming that's carbide. Let's see what we got. This was what came with the tool. There's some boring bars. That could be, it's pretty handy to have. There's a chamfer bit, chamfer tool. Excuse my language, I don't even know. I'm learning. I don't know what all this stuff's called. There's some more tooling. We've got another one with a different profile. Pretty similar. Actually, those are look to be, I don't know, are those the same? Not quite the same. Probably will do the same job for me though. Let's see. Oh, they do have some markings. There's a C6, ER6, ALO. What we're gonna do is get one of these mounted, a facing tool of some sort. I think this guy, either this one or this one, would be good to start with. I think I'm gonna go with this one. And then we're gonna get a bolt and we're just gonna turn it and see what we can do. First chips. I'll bring you back. Okay, let's go ahead and get some of these mounted. Just screw these in here. Again, I'm learning, not sure. What I'm doing versus any professional. I think that should clear and do what we need to do. And I know one of the other things I'm gonna want to be able to do is chamfer my cuts. So we'll get this one in here. Let's bring this out a little bit. Clamp those down. Get this tool. This one's a little sticky. Oh. Just get those two in there. Spin it again. What other tool? Probably this guy. Might want to use that one. And finally, let's see. We'll put this square. Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew it. All right, so loosen this up a little bit. There we go. So 2 bolts tighten up each one. That's perfect. All right, so I'm gonna test with this one. So we'll get that tightened down a little bit. Let's go ahead and tighten these down, so our tools are nice and snug. There we go. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to call that the completion of the unboxing and setup of this lathe. Let's pull you back. We got this protective shield. Everything turns and runs and works like it's supposed to. The jaws come in, go in and go out. The tooling slides like it should. The tailstock moves like it should. It's not quite centered. That's something I still want to work on. I will. But it sure slides back and forth nice. But that completes the setup of the VEVOR MX400 variable speed mini lathe. I know these videos are not very high quality, good production, but hopefully this helps somebody who's thinking about buying one to see what you get. The upcoming videos are going to be about its functionality. Again, this is from a complete newbie, amateur's perspective. Just something to do, something to get away from the daily grind, you know, to take your mind off of what your normal job is. I'll bring you back for those videos, but for now, I hope you enjoyed. Sorry about the quality of these videos. All right, I wanted to bring everybody back and provide an update. And I've been messing around with trying to get the tailstock centered and trying to get the tool holder to be centered. What I was noticing was it would either get in a bind and kick out, or it would almost be like a cone. And so, you know, I messed with quite a bit. I had taken this thing off several times. You know, there's a lot of adjustments inside these. These do not come out of the box ready to go. So there's tip number one. If you decide to purchase one of these, just know that part of the process is going to be setting it up, fine-tuning it, probably upgrading some parts, getting things centered up, getting, you know, just getting things cleaned up and oiled and learning what does what. The instructions are very minimal. One thing I discovered is that there's a lock for the compound here. You can, you know, lock this when you're facing or doing some work, and it'll prevent the carriage from moving. And so that helped with the backlash while it was facing. The other thing is you can adjust, you know, the angle of all of this stuff. Depends on how tight if these are loose, where your shims are, I don't know what you call them right now, but if they're too loose, this whole head will move. This tool post will move on you. And all of that, which I'm an amateur, a lot of people probably already know this stuff, causes deflection in your material, and it doesn't cut properly. So all I've been doing is just working with a couple bolts. Maybe it's the material as well. I'm using some bolts and maybe they're too hard. But just trying to get this thing trued up. I am happy that it runs. I've heard, you know, reviews are 50-50. If you go do any searching, nothing but people hating these things. Boards go out, you know, knock on wood. Let's hope that none of that happens. The thing turns on, it spins, it cuts metal. There's shavings down there. So you know, it's a hobby, just something just to get started. So I'm happy with that. One thing I didn't like, you can see this mess, this conglomeration here. This tool holder that comes with it does not center with your workpiece. And the instructions, I did finally see where it says you may need to use some shim stock in order to level your tooling. Well, I don't have shim stock. I've got old junk material, and that's what I came up with. That's my shim stock. And it finally, I was able to get this centered and cutting to the center of my workpiece. And I'll get to those in a minute. One thing, I'll give you a review. The tooling that comes with this, again, maybe I'm using some too hard of material, but I sure wouldn't think so. I wasn't taking big cuts. But if you look, they're chipped. They're already chipped, cracked. These are useless. This tooling is junk that comes with it. So expect to purchase some new tooling when you get this thing. The other thing, consider that you're gonna need to be able to level your tooling. I went ahead and I purchased a couple items in order to help some of these challenges that I've faced. I got some new tooling, some that's hopefully not gonna chip as easy and be stronger and work better. I'll show you the one I was testing with as well. If you look, see that chip right out of the box. Now that I did that, but it was just trying to face these nuts and bolts. There it is. So it's, you know, these tooling became quite useless very quickly. This one hasn't chipped yet, but it will. So let's move on to the tooling. Here's the rest of the tools. I haven't even bothered using the boring bars and these other things. Probably just hang on to them, and I'll be sure to make sure I use them with some either brass or aluminum, something more, you know, that's not nearly as hard. Here is my final test when I finally got things leveled out, and it did pretty good finally. And it took a while to get to that point. As you can see, just with this test that I was doing the first night, I got it. That was my first cut once I figured out, you know, the issues on the carriage, but it's still a little bit bulged up. Let's see if I can set you down here and I'll show you. So if we look, you can see that it's still, here we go, it still rocks. So that was really frustrating me. And I knew there has to be some adjustments on this thing to get it working, but after just messing around with it for most of yesterday, I'm pretty satisfied with this. You know, it may not be precision, but that's, I'll take that to start with. Good place to get started with some projects. So I'm happy with that. Finally got that with, and it's probably this bolt's too hard. It's probably what chipped this tooling to begin with. I'm gonna look for some aluminum or softer materials, but you know, I've only got what I got, so I'm gonna keep going with what I got. I'm gonna end the update video. This is just an update on the test cutting and setup. Excuse me. There's an adjustment screw. I still need to work with the tailstock to get it adjusted. If we take this off, it's conveniently located underneath. Now, I think what I'm gonna try next, let me pull this off, I'll show you. That screw right there is what allows you to adjust it back and forth. I haven't discovered the up and the vertical adjustment yet. It's probably one of these up in here. I know it's not this one. That one, just there's a groove in the tailstock slide that it sits in to keep it from spinning. So this is still another bit of a project. I'm going to get this centered up, and then I just want to get this cleaned up and make sure everything is solid. That's going to end the update video. I'm probably not going to come back to anything other than that. I just need to fiddle with the adjustment screws to get this centered, as well as just making sure this is nice and solid, which I have it pretty well. I should mention, underneath the back side of the slide down here, there's 3 Allen head screws, and if you tighten anything on this machine too tight, nothing will move. So there's a delicate balance in there, but you want to get those firmed up so you don't have any rocking of the compound. So I had that issue. I had the issue where this was rocking back and forth. And then I had the issue where, there's some backlash in this. So if once you get this set where you're going, you might move it and it'll actually kick over one way or the other. See, there we go. So that's part of the problem too. But I did discover if you lock this lock bolt, it's probably just tightening up this bottom crack. If you lock that in place, you no longer have that play. So that was helping me get some clean cuts. Other than that, the machine's running well. I'm pretty happy with it so far. It's fun to play with, so I wouldn't expect anybody that wants to make money doing this to go with one of these. Definitely, you could make money with this, but I think if I knew what I was doing, go into a profession, and I still wanted a mini lathe or a small lathe, I would look at one of the a company like Precision Matthews, or I don't know who else out there makes them. I know there's some better quality ones. If anything, if it's the same manufacturers of these, I would think that a company with a name behind it, a US company, would probably go over them and make sure they're all clean and set up before they get into your hands. Again, I don't know, but I didn't want to spend $2,500 to figure that out. So I went with pretty much the cheapest one I could of this size, with the 1.5 inch spindle bore. And this is what I got. It's not perfect, but it's working. So I'll bring you back. I've got for the next video, I've got some unboxing. Went ahead and upgraded some parts, and we'll get the unboxing going, and hopefully those upgrades will help me get everything working smoother and more efficient for me. Goodbye.